Hi everyone, Stjepan here. I just finished round 1 of Zagreb Open. So the tournament started today. I've been preparing for a while and the tournament is extremely strong. Almost 200 players, about 20 grandmasters, 20 international masters, over 100 people with, or at least, or almost, 100 people whose ELO rating is over 2000. So really strong. And I'm going to talk a bit about my preparation first. So I didn't know who I was going to be paired against in round 1, so I had a look at the most likely opponents. And I basically decided on what I was going to play against each, because I couldn't prepare in detail for each one. There were too many of them. I prepared for the most likely opponents, and then for the others I decided what I was going to play based on what they play against the variations I could go for. My opponent in today's game was international master Biti, a very strong Croatian player, 2400. And I didn't prepare for him at all. The only thing I knew was that with white I was going to play d4, with black I was going to play the Caro-Kann, because I didn't like what he plays against e4, and I didn't like what he plays against the Sicilian or the Scandinavian, or e5. The pairings got out. I was relaxed pretty much because I mean there's no pressure playing against the 2400. I wanted to do well, of course, and I felt that having no pressure on me was a relief. So okay, in the next 2 weeks I'm going to be playing 2 tournaments, 18 games, 17 more, and I'm going to record the videos as soon as I finish the game. I just finished round 1, it's still going on. And I'm not going to be using the engine, so if you mind that, I'm sorry. You can find the PGN of the games in the description below. You can check them out with the engine yourself. I decided to do that for these 2 tournaments to make sure I don't pressure myself with the blunders. I'm going to go through my thoughts, through my analysis, my thoughts during the game. If you have any feedback, I would really appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into the game. So he plays e4. And I went for the Caro-Kann. We have d4, d5, e5, the advanced variation. I played bishop f5, and here he played c3, which is a rarely played move. I don't know how many games, but no more than 500, maybe even just a few hundred. And I remember specifically one game in which Magnus Carlsen played this against Nihal Sarin, which I saw, I don't know why and I don't know when, it was sometime in 2018. So the game went like this. E6, bishop to e3, wanting to play knight d2, knight d7, knight d2, knight e7, f4, h6. And after h6, Magnus played knight g to f3, and Nihal Sarin went, I think, bishop h7, which prepares knight f5. So after c3, I spent a little time thinking, and the other 2 plans I knew were playing bishop g6 and knight f5, and playing h5, bishop g6, knight f5. So I knew 3 plans, but since Nihal Sarin is a really strong player, I thought that his plan was the best. So after e6, we got these exact moves in, knight d7, knight d2, knight d7, f4. Now with f4, sometimes there are tricks with queen b6 and knight takes e5 when the bishop is undefended and the king is castled. I won one game like that in 2016. There's also this trick of a double attack with queen b6 attacking b2, attacking e5 indirectly. Sometimes you can prepare that with the move like g5. And the other thing is, the worst thing in this position for black is the bishop on f8, which is definitely a bad piece, and I have to get rid of it, or I have to open it up. If I get rid of it, then my dark squares are weak. So here, there were 2 plans I considered apart from what I played. One of them was bishop g6, as I said, and I assume he would have played knight g to f3, I would have played knight f5 attacking the bishop, and now bishop to f2, and now I play h5. h5 I play to stop g4. And now I'm going to get my bishop to e7, or I'm going to play c5 and open my bishop up on the whole board. The other plan I had after f4 was just to play h5, which after the game Mr. Biti said h6 is imprecise, which I don't know, maybe it is. As I said, I'm not going to check the game with an engine until the 2 tournaments finish. Maybe imprecise because it allows g4, but I had a specific plan in mind. So after h5, I assume, again, he would have played knight g to f3, and they would have played h4, because this is a pattern, I know. And now white is forced to play h3, not to allow h3 for me. And now, again, I go for bishop g6 and knight f5. The thing is, in this position, I'm not really afraid of his knight jumping into g5, because after knight f5, he has to spend the tempo on bishop to f2. Then my pawn is defended twice, and then I can go bishop e7, evicting the knight from g5. So knight g5 is not a common thing. But as I said, after f4, I remembered the game Carlsen, Nihal Sarin, and I went for h6. Now, the thing with h6 is, I have an idea, and after I've seen that game, I was wondering, Nihal Sarin lost, I don't remember how. I just remember the next, I remember he played rook c8 or something, Magnus went knight b3 and controlled c5, so Nihal was never able to play c5. But the idea is here, I want to go g5 at the correct moment, and then with my queen either on b6 or c7, I want to go c5, which would then weaken the e5 pawn. And I'm going to castle queenside and get my rook to g8 and try to checkmate him. So after knight g to f3, I had a think. This was my first longer think of the game. And okay, so there are 2 moves I could go for here. I know that Nihal Sarin played bishop h7. That's what I remembered, going for knight f5. But I didn't really like that. I assume, okay, bishop f2 is one of the best moves in anticipation of knight f5. And now, if I go knight f5, I'm opening up my bishop. I can play c5 on the next move. Nihal Sarin played rook c8 in this position, and Magnus went knight b3. I don't remember anymore. So basically to stop c5. But I think that after bishop f2, I would have gone knight f5, and then when white plays bishop e2, bishop to d3 is a bad move, because I can go knight to g3. Although if takes, yeah, okay, the f2 bishop is here, so it works. I would have gone knight f5, and after bishop e2, I would have gone c5. But the one downside of c5 in these positions is that he can take and get the d4 square for his knight. He can also play c4, undermine my center when, if my knight is on f5, c4 is a deadly move. I have no good way to react to it. Let's say I take here, he's just going to take on d5. So c5 isn't really a possible move. So I'd have had to play around this position with something like bishop e7, castles. And okay, I'm not afraid of g4 yet, because I always have knight h4. So I don't know. The other thing which I almost played, which again after the game Mr. Biti said this move is also imprecise, I completely agree in hindsight. The other plan I had was queen b6, which is a position I actually know and could remember from the analysis last year ago, when I was looking at that game Carlsen, Nihal Sarin, and I was finding plans against c3, bishop e3, knight d2. So here, if he goes knight b3, this knight is misplaced, and I can immediately go a5, just chasing the knight away, basically threatening to win the b pawn. So knight b3 is not a good move. b3 is a bad move as well, because it allows c5, I think. No, it doesn't yet. Okay, wait. Not c5. I don't know what, but I think he eventually has to play c4, where if he plays c4, d4 is weak. And I think I might just go a5 again. But anyway, I know that the best move is queen b3, which Mr. Biti surely would have played. And now I don't want to take to weaken my a7 pawn. I would go a5 again, which is a move again, I know. And eventually he would be forced either to retreat the queen back to d1, thus plundering his b pawn, or taking. But the one thing that led me away from queen b6 was I wanted to go c5 at all costs. So yeah, I wanted to play c5 when my knight was still on e7. So I chose queen c7, which again is not a very good move according to Mr. Biti. In hindsight, I don't like it either, but I was kind of happy with it. So queen c7, I didn't want to play what Nihal Sarin played, because I didn't like that position. And later on in the game, I realized that queen c7 in conjunction with h6 doesn't really work, and there's a really specific reason why. So here he went bishop e2, and now I had my longest think of the game. So if I go c5, and he takes, d takes c5, I would take with the knight, and then knight b3 would mean that my position is really weak. I can go knight e4, but let's say he goes knight to d4, and as soon as he gets the d4 square for the knight, he's controlling c5. This knight is about to get evicted eventually, something like, let's say I play something like bishop g6 to save my bishop, rook c1, and this is not good. So another thing I was planning to do was go for Nihal Sarin's plan again, something like bishop h7 and then castles, and then go for c5. But then I realized that after c4, and well, if I go d takes c4, bishop takes c4, then my position is loose again. I didn't know what to do here. Maybe I can go a6 and b5, dc5, knight takes. Maybe this is not so bad. Have the c6 square. His knight has d4 though, so I'm always afraid of that. I don't know. But anyway, I found one plan. So in the Caro-Kann and in the French, you can undermine the structure with c5 or f6. And I started looking at f6. I really liked it. And I just couldn't resist the move. So here's my calculation. f6, if he takes it, I take with the g pawn, and my position is great. I have no problems. I can even play for e5. He basically has no threats in this position. If he castles kingside, then I'm going to castle queenside, and I think I'm faster than him with something like rook g8, or even just h5, h4, h3. But maybe rook g8, bishop h3, knight f5 is good enough. Okay, so if he takes, I don't think I have any issues. I expected him to castle, which he did. And now I took on e5, and the thing I was afraid of the most was him taking with the knight, where I have to take, and he would take with the f pawn, and I was going to play g5, but after g5, yeah, okay, g5 is impossible here because of bishop h5 check. I would have to castle queenside. Okay, castles queenside, and now something like knight b3 into c5 seemed very annoying. But again, if okay, another thing is he could probably just go for this pawn with bishop g4, where I'm not sure I have to take. Maybe even g4. Okay, so, but after he took back with the f pawn, and now I thought my position was really good because I played g5, which solidifies my kingside structure, and he doesn't have bishop h5 now because the knight is still on f3. So he has to basically move the knight. If he's not careful, I may just win this position. Let's say he plays something like, I don't know. It's hard to find a stupid move. Okay, b4. I don't know, b4. Then I could go g4, knight h4, and then, yeah, maybe it doesn't work at this position. Okay, queen b6 first. And now I'm threatening g4 and knight takes e5. So he can't really move the knight away. If he moves the knight away, I'm going to take. If he doesn't move the knight away, let's say, I don't know, a4. Yeah, a4 may work because it evicts my queen. Okay, but basically the idea is, let's give him a stupid move. I'm going to play g4, and after the knight moves, I'm going to take on e5. And here I think I should be better, even though he gets to exchange his stupid knight. I think my position is great. His king is open. I'm going to castle queenside. So yeah. So after g5, he played knight e1, now threatening bishop h5, so I castled. And again, I liked my position. He played b4, which I expected. And now I made what I think is the biggest mistake of the game. So he found a strategic plan which was just crushing. After my move and his next move, I felt that the position was lost, which is, at this point I was really confident and happy, and he'd spent maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes on his next move. He was below on time, he had less time than me, and I didn't think he was really comfortable playing that position. But after my next move, he was comfortable. So what to do here? I mean, I don't know what to do. I was constantly trying to make some some knight sacrifices on e5 work. Then also I can't really retreat my bishop yet because I think he always has bishop h5, and if I take, queen takes, something like knight f5, bishop f2, and g4 is coming, this is not comfortable. So I wanted to develop my bishop. The problem is that after I play bishop g7, and now knight e5 is a stronger threat, pawn takes, bishop takes, threatening both the c3 pawn and the h2 pawn with check. He played an incredible move, which I've completely missed, which is so obvious that... Okay, he played knight d3, and now if I take his knight, bishop g4 is deadly. My e6 pawn is dropping off, unless I defend it with knight f8, which is disgusting. If I don't take it, he's coming into c5, and you may be wondering, well, you're just going to take it. Well, that's partially true, but after I play rook d2 f8, he plays knight b3, and now my position is busted, I'm sure. There's just nothing I can do. If I play b6, I lose. If I take on d3, I lose. If I don't take on d3 and don't play b6, I lose. I just don't know what to do. So if I take on d3 immediately, he of course takes with the queen, reinforcing this pawn in case I sacrifice on e5, and also threatening queen to g6, attacking e6 if my knight should move. And now I don't know what to do. If I go knight f5, he just retreats the bishop, or even better, after knight f5, just bishop g4, where if I take, he takes, and now again, I don't have a way to defend the e6 pawn. So I don't know. I chose what I thought was the lesser evil. I chose b6, which is again disgusting. After b6, he just plays a4, and I can resign. So takes on d3, of course, queen takes on d3, and now I exchanged the pair of rooks to get the pressure off. Rook takes f1, and now knight f5, which I saw is a bad move, but I couldn't find another move. What do I do? What do I do? If he retreats the bishop, then okay, it's not that bad. But this is a killer move, bishop g4, and so if I take his bishop, he takes back. I don't have a way to defend d6, for example, like this. What can I do? If I go rook e8, he goes rook f7, I lose. If I go knight f8, I mean, I don't really want to be playing this position. I don't know, a5, b5, queen f2, anything works. And I can't do that. So yeah, in this position, I had to give up some material. I didn't know what material. I didn't know what to do. So I found this active move, which doesn't work for a very specific reason. And if you want a hard challenge, pause the video here and find an almost forced win for white. The position is winning for white, but this is just dreadful. So my idea was, let's say in a dream world, he takes, I take, he takes, I don't know, I take on e5, he takes here, oh, I'm sorry, he moves the queen, I take the bishop, I don't know, and all of a sudden the position is winning for me. Or yeah, at least equal. I don't know, he takes my knight, and this should be more than fine for me. I shouldn't be losing this position. But yeah, after c5, as I said, pause the video, find the forced win. So he did take, I took, and now, okay, if you did pause the video, this is the critical moment. If you didn't pause the video yet, pause it now, find a winning move for white. Okay, of course, he doesn't take, he doesn't move the bishop away, he doesn't take my knight. There's a killer move here. Of course, if he takes my knight, that was part of the threat with c5. He takes my knight, I can just do this. And when he moves the queen, I can take here, and I don't lose a pawn because he has to move his knight, and I go f4, and all of a sudden I'm better. But yeah, after bc, the correct move is queen a6 check. And a variation I completely missed happened, and I played queen b7 and immediately knew I was going to resign on the next move, find the winning move for white. This position may seem complicated, but there's a killing tactic here for white. My opponent, Mr. Biti, played it. I resigned immediately, and I mean, I I was partially bluffing when I saw his win. Of course, if he takes my queen, this is not so bad. I mean, I'm still losing, but it's not so bad. Okay, it's bad, but I don't lose on the spot. I don't lose on the spot. But after queen b7, the move after which I resigned is queen takes e6, and I saw 3 variations while he was calculating it. No matter what I do, I lose. So if I take the bishop, he takes with the knight on c5. I don't know. If I go queen c7, he just takes on d7. I take his rook, he goes back to c5 check, and eventually I'm going to lose this. Even if he doesn't give away his advantage immediately, I don't know, maybe he can go rook f7 or rook b1 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe, okay. Okay, but his bishop is hanging too. So, okay, he takes. And when I take the rook, goes back to check, king d8, queen takes d5 is probably good, king e7. I don't know. I mean, this is dreadful. This has to be plus a million. The other position is if I take the knight, then just bishop takes f5, and again I lose. If I go rook d8, there's no way to defend. Just rook b1. Now if I move my queen away, queen to c6 is checkmate. So I would have to give up my queen. So this I saw as some variations, and even after, where are we? After queen takes e6, even probably this works. I wasn't sure, but I even thought this worked. So takes, rook f7, I don't know, king e8 takes here. I threaten mate, but he defends it with h3. Something like c4. Maybe this is not winning. Okay, maybe this is the one variation that's not winning. But anyway, after queen takes e6, I resigned immediately because I saw what the position is about. So it was a tough game. I mean, he's a very strong player. Congratulations to him. I hope he does well in the rest of the tournament. He's a gentleman and a very nice guy. Yeah, tomorrow is a double round, so I'm playing 2 games tomorrow. The good news is I had black against somebody really strong, so I'm white tomorrow morning. The pairings are not out yet. They are going to be. I'm going to be recording my prep for the rounds. Maybe not for round 3 because it's a double round, so I'm not coming home. But I'm going to be recording my prep for the rounds and posting them on Patreon if you want to see my prep for opponents. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to wait for the pairings and prepare. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye.